Hello, everybody. How's it going? The Sunday today, it just gets crazier and crazier. I'll wait for some more people to get in here before we begin, but I still stand by what I said earlier, but I think what we have found out now just makes things a little different, and I feel like I have to address it. I feel like I would have kind of not doing a disservice to the story, but not doing a full analysis of the story without sharing kind of this side of it and both sides that have kind of come out here in the last little bit here. WBRZ, I must credit for doing the investigative work on this one. WBRZ, you might know them from Michael Cobble doing his work with WBRZ. WBRZ were able to speak to some Houston authorities, police department members, such and such, and kind of gave us some details on how and why Kyren Lacy committed suicide on Saturday at the age of only 24. And this is new information obtained by WBRZ, according to WBRZ. We are looking into this as we speak, and so far right now, all I'm getting is kind of an affirmative of this is what happened. He was found dead, Kyren Lacy, in his car in Houston after a police chase last night. And this is days before he's set to appear before a grand jury that would decide if he had faced charges in a fatal crash that law enforcement said he caused. That's a direct quote from the article. So, Kyren Lacy found deceased last night from a self-submitted gunshot wound. Says new information obtained by WBRZ says Lacy was arguing with a family member shortly after 11 p.m. Saturday. He reportedly pulled out a gun and shot it at the ground before leaving the area. About 30 minutes later, a constable spotted Lacy driving and attempted to make a traffic stop. Deputies said Lacy refused to stop and was chased for several more miles before crashing. A report from the Harris County Sheriff's Office says that when deputies walked up to Lacy's vehicle to take him into custody, they didn't realize he had shot himself during the pursuit and before the crash. So it's not that he crashed and then shot him. This is so incomprehensibly sad. While he's driving and won't stop, he's contemplating, and then he does the act, and that's why he crashes the car. Isn't because he crashes the car because of his driving. He crashed the car because he had already taken his life. It's just unspeakable. It just gets worse. The tragedy just gets worse here. Real serious demons. You caused the death of Herman Hall. Some people say he didn't. Some people say he did. Some people say there's evidence that can exonerate him. There's film. I would love to see it. We would love to see him exonerated. But whether he was guilty or not, he was haunted by what happened on that day. Because this type of stuff continued. Why does he have a gun? Why is he pointing a gun at a family member? Why is he leading the police on a high-speed chase? Like, why is this, the car stuff, the reckless driving stuff, continuing? Now it makes the reckless driving stuff seem a little more plausible when you know that there's evidence here now of that type of stuff. And bad decisions. But on a day like today, it doesn't feel like it's the right time to legislate all this. But my God, kind of makes me have a different feel of it all. It makes it more tragic. It makes it more hard to swallow, but it also, man, we've seen stories like this too many times at LSU. Yep, El Pina Papa, that's what we just started saying. Yep. That's what we just got done explaining the last little bit here. It was, I don't know if it was ABC 13 or probably was Houston before it was anybody else. But we saw it from WBRZ. And then everybody we've bothered on the phone today has echoed that. And said it was they said it was a car chase last night when I first heard about this thing happening. I was told literally a car chase, but he shot himself. So it was like, what the hell? And it just made no sense. And it was just terrible to hear something like that. And now you hear the circumstances of how this happened, and it just makes it so much worse. And I felt there was necessary to amend my comments from earlier where maybe I was a little too heavy-handed about the comments fans make and all this stuff, because sure, the fans do make out-of-line comments, and I've seen about 50 billion examples of it today. But we cannot just excuse some of the choices that Kyren made. We can't just excuse those here. One of them cost someone their life. Allegedly. And the others cost his life. And that's the worst thing of this is everyone who got in that accident on that day or was even part of it has had their lives uprooted, destroyed. Whether it be injuries in the hospital, you died, or Lacy, haunted by the guilt, haunted by the legal stuff coming up. It is just a story we've seen way too much at LSU, where some great players, some great talents, great people, and then there's a very highly public fall from grace. Since Brian Kelly's come into LSU, those type of stories have been cut by about 3/4. That type of stuff's still going to happen at every school in America. When you're dealing with young people, they're on the come up, tons of money, tons of resources, partying like a rock star. when nobody's looking, what type of choices are you going to make? When everybody's looking, what type of choices are you going to make? You can't, as much as I've defended Lacy and as much as I've told some positive stuff about him today, and a lot of kind of shaming of fans who were anti-Lacy, we can't get away from the fact that there was always a gun celebration. There was always in almost everything he did, it was like guns, and celebration of guns. And literally like shooting people. And when that's how someone passes, you can't, it sticks in your head. I'm not condoning, I'm not judging, I'm merely depicting and telling the truth as I see it. There are some choices, there was some things maybe Kyren Lacy should have done differently. Maybe we aren't talking about this. Maybe we're just talking about how he's going to be yet another first-round pick at LSU. Because God knows I would love to be doing that instead of this, because, man, I'm sick of covering stories like this where young dudes with so much promise, so much possibility, so much talent, so much ability, so much heart. Think about where Lacy came from. He came from small town of Thibodaux, Louisiana. He made it out. Not only just to, being a raging Cajun receiver and being great there, he gets an offer to transfer to LSU. He gets that big invitation. And not only does he go there and he's surrounded by first-round talents, he's able to carve out a niche there and make it on his own and stand on his own 2 feet and be literally a number one receiver for a season at LSU. I cannot believe now those accomplishments will be shrouded by this type of stuff for the rest of his legacy. And it's such a cruel thing for his family, because there's so much pride for what he overcame, what he pushed through, what he's achieved. But it's a really crazy ending where this wasn't, I don't know how to put this delicately. Maybe I shouldn't say it at all. I just think this changes some things. This news, this update by WBRZ, by ABC 13, whoever it was who broke the story first. You're saying he crashed, then shot himself. It seems like he shot himself, and then the car crashed because he is already dead. So, either way, it's ghastly. Either way, it's terrible. It's been really sad to see a lot of his teammates having these really hard to watch memories, and they're posting, this memory of him and this celebration with him, this game again with him, and this moment where we beat this team, or Braden Swinson talking about the coin toss. And I understand that he may have allegedly caused an accident that took the life of Herman Hall, a Marine, a Vietnam veteran. Believe me, I'm not overlooking a detail like that. As the son of a Vietnam veteran, believe me, I'm not overlooking something like that. And as someone who covered Lacy's initial charges in depth when they first occurred, we've covered that from all angles. We have not ignored anything. But what happened Saturday night and what happened in December are not just two separate incidents, a coincidence. They're the culmination of bad choices, bad decisions. And it's stuff I think about every single day with myself. How close it can be to making a horrible choice can affect your life and everyone else around you's life forever. Just one little choice, just one little thing you do, just one thing. And everything's different. And that is the sick, sad reality Kyren Lacy found himself in. And I can understand in that moment not wanting to be there, not wanting to be here anymore. If you felt it's coming all from around you, the walls are closing in type of a feel. But man, there was another way. There was another way, Kyren. There was another way. It's a it is such a cautionary tale that I hope Brian Kelly tells Kyren Lacy's story to every single recruiting class that comes in on freshman move-in day, and he tells the story of Kyren Lacy to every one of these guys, because Brian Kelly worked with Kyren a lot to make him a successful young man. Cortez Hankton worked even harder, worked even more one-on-one with Kyren Lacy to make sure he could be that number one, first-round pick receiver for LSU. And he nearly got there. He just had to not get in trouble for 4 months. Get in the draft. He would have been a second-round pick at the worst, probably, Kyren Lacy. Second, third-round pick. I think that sounds about right. He had his flaws, his drops, his temperament, things like that, but he was so talented, and he had that body, that pedigree. He was gonna be a first or second round pick. And instead, this is how it ends. Shooting a gun at the floor with a family member right there. Another reckless drive. In the barrel of a gun. The glorification of a gun. Led up to this point where the gun is God. I have to live by the gun. I have to die by the gun. Cops aren't going to stop me. You're not going to pull me over. Like, I understand a lot of this shit. I get it. I get where he's coming from with that type of mindset. Because once you pull over, you're going to jail. You're going to, like, your life is different for 3 more years, 4 more years, even longer. It's, of course, going to affect his trial. I understand what it's like to be in legal trouble and think, there's no way out of this. There's no way out of this. And then actually realizing how small your problems are. Then again, I've never been charged with negligent homicide. Then again, I never faced felony charges of any sort, of any kind. Then again, I've never faced any charge outside of a simple marijuana possession charge for anything in my life. So I think he felt the walls creeping in, but I cannot understand why you would be brandishing a gun at a family member the weekend before you have to go to a grand jury indictment, and then leading the police on a chase. Choice went out the window. People are gonna watch this and be like, "Whoa!" If you are anti-Lacy on this, you're gonna love this episode and not like the other one. If you're pro Lacy on this, you're gonna hate this one and like the other. I'm just calling it like I see it. As this thing changes, as this thing morphs, man, I'm just calling it as I see it. And I love Kyren Lacy. I want him to know that. I love his family. I just, man, this type of stuff gets me going because my son, what type of world is he going to live in? Is he going to feel like there's no option? Is he going to feel like he has to do that type of stuff? Like, is he going to feel like he's going to have to kill himself in a certain moment if he gets there? He can't confide in anybody. It was heartbreaking seeing Kenny, his father's post. Let me show you all that. Where is it? Am I missing it? Oh, here we go. Here we go. So Kenny Lacy posted this on Facebook. He said, young parents, start talking to your kids at a very early age and make sure they are confident and comfortable confiding in you. Don't be cool with I'm all right or I'm good when you know deep down something isn't right. Mental health is real and for the most part is invisible. Don't ignore the signs, even if they may seem small. Our lives have changed forever, and this will never be okay, but God needed my baby more than he was needed here. This has to be the biggest pill our families have had to swallow, but I know the love and compassion in our families will get us through. This will never get easier, but we'll learn to live with it. Check on your kids' mental. It's just a very, very, very sad story. There's no other way, there's no other word that can encompass the loss of Herman Hall, the potential draft fall of Kyren Lacy, all this stuff swimming around, and then this happens. Two people dead, one life-changing accident, a few other people who were hurt. Thank God no one else was for the events on Saturday night. But Kyren Lacy was, and Kyren Lacy took his own life last night. And I think it is a moment where everyone should look in the mirror and kind of assess, you know. I think it's a good point. Whether you feel like you played some role in any of this, or whether you were someone who was on the phone actively with Kyren Lacy trying to help him through this stuff, whether you were someone who was going after him online, whether you were one of his family members who was with him through the high and the low, whether you're one of his teammates who was with him through the high or the low, one of his trainers. I know Jordan Arsamon at LSU was particularly close with him. This is just This is a gut-wrenching story, no matter how you look at it, no matter how you want to cut it, no matter how you want to politicize it. If you want to use it to divide people, if you want to use it to unify people, no matter how you look at this story and try and use it for your own means or whatever sick stuff people do, the only way to look at the story is through the lens of a tragedy, because that's what it is on all sides. Just a pure waste, a waste. Kyren Lacy could have won a Super Bowl for some team. Could have had a ring on his finger. Could have been a legend forever. That's the thing, is how will he be remembered at LSU, in LSU history? And I think maybe that's really unfair to ask right now. It's probably a very unfair question to ask right now. We'll have more if anything else comes up, but if you all have any opinions, I'll leave the floor open. I'll be here and I'll reply to your questions. We'll keep this thing live for a second. If anybody has any questions, comments, things they want to get into, post away. There's a lot of you watching, so I would be stunned if nobody has anything to say. Aaron Gray, what's up, Aaron? He says, just really unexpected after seeing his highlights at the LSU Pro Day or Combine. Yeah, was he? I'm trying to think. Was he at the Combine or was it just? I don't think he was at the Combine. I think it was just the Pro Day. I'm not sure. Let's look that up. Wow. Kyren Lacy's attorney rails against hit-and-run witch hunt after NFL draft prospect's death. Let's get him on the show. Matthew Ori released a statement criticizing the investigation. Wow. Calls it a witch hunt, says it's overzealous, fueled by who Kyren was and the public profile he carried. The decision by the investigating agency to charge him at all, in our view, was not only unjustified, it was disturbing, the statement read. It's imperative to understand the Lafourche Parish District Attorney, to this day, has not formally charged Kyren. What? So the DA has never even charged Kyren? Very interesting. The statement also criticized the media for a perceived role in his apparent suicide, referring to Lacy as a young man with immense promise. He was crushed under the weight of an irresponsible and prejudiced process. The negative barrage on social media, the circulation of his mugshot by nearly every news outlet rather than a standard photo, the recent civil lawsuit filed against him that named another defendant who mysteriously wasn't charged with a crime, only him, and the overall tone of coverage painted a deeply biased picture before he ever had the chance to defend himself. There was never a presumption of innocence, which was exemplified by the NFL pulling his draft card over mere accusations without affording him the slightest chance to defend himself. The pressure and perception likely became unbearable. What do you all think about that? What do you all think? He's saying it's a witch hunt. It led to this. The media's to blame. I mean, some of the same stuff I was saying earlier. But then you find out of the circumstances of how this happened. A gun being involved, a chase, another reckless driving type of situation. And it's a little tough for me to just kind of, hey, he's completely faultless here. No problems at all. We have to see that evidence first to know if he committed a crime in that accident or not, to really say that about this kid. One way or another. And so many people did make him into a guilty man before he really had his day in court. And you've seen so many guys destroyed by that. You've seen a lot of guys get away with it without a scratch. It's very strange how that happens. And Lacy was for sure lit up by the media. For sure. Was it deserved? I don't know. I think our current media goes after the most swaggering, most flamboyant personalities we have. And we need those type of personalities nowadays. We need people who actually have the balls to say things. Actually the balls to take a hit to get somewhere with something. People are too afraid to put their head out there, put their neck out on the line. People just want to look perfect and right and clean and everything. They don't ever want to embrace the mess of what it takes to be successful. Kyren Lacy was like that, and it got too messy. The choices got out of control. It cost him his life. But at the same time, we all have a role to play in how we, innocent until proven guilty with this kid was just out of control because none of us had seen any footage, that dash cam footage, to prove his innocence or to say he actually caused this accident. And it's shocking how many people made definitive statements on his role in the crime when they had no idea. It's hard to know what to say from here on out. It's just a tragedy. It's just a tragedy. That's it. You want some toast, Seiji? Toast? I'm going to watch some James Bond with my son and eat some toast. I'm absolutely gutted for Kyren's family. That's really who I'm thinking about more than anybody right now is Kyren's family, his teammates. I've been texting a lot of the guys that he played with. Ask them how they're doing. A lot of them are just completely shocked by this. But everybody, have a good night, and unless something else happens, you might see us again. So, talking to you guys soon. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys so much for really speaking out, saying your piece, but doing it respectfully. You guys are awesome. You guys are one hell of an audience. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.